Good morning and welcome to Mount St. Mary's University's 10th annual presentation of the Report on the Status of Women and Girls in California. I am delighted that our community has gathered virtually to celebrate our report's release today. As with all of our programming at the Center for the Advancement of Women, we hope that this event inspires you to create positive change for women and girls across California and throughout our nation. We have an incredible group of speakers with us today. Before we get started, I would like to take a moment to thank our generous sponsors who continue to provide leadership and resources for our research and advocacy. Thank you to Geary's of Beverly Hills, City National Bank, Guggenheim, Locke Lord, Manat, the Santa Monica Legacy Fund for Women and Girls, and our founders, the Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet. We could not do this work without your continued support, and we thank you. This year's report focuses on the multidimensional and compounding impact of COVID-19 on California's women and girls. I have no doubt that your life has changed over the past year in many ways, big and small. With this year's report, our goal is to call out how the pandemic has affected the welfare of and the opportunities for our state's women and girls. This research also reveals recent gains that were wiped out in 2020 and explores what the longer-lasting effects of this pandemic may be in the years to come. I invite you to download our copy of the report today from our website, but for now, it is my honor to share this special message from one of our biggest allies, Los Angeles City Council President Nury Martinez.
Hello, I'm Los Angeles City Council President Nury Martinez, and I am honored to welcome you to the Mount St. Mary's University Report on the Status of Women and Girls in California. This pandemic has been hard, but it has been especially hard on women, particularly women of color. Parts of the economy that were hardest hit at the beginning of this pandemic were dominated by women. On top of that, with the closures of childcare facilities and schools, working mothers have been forced to reduce their hours, take lower paying positions, or leave the workforce entirely. Before the coronavirus, women consisted of more than 50% of the country's workforce. A year later, we accounted for 55% of the 2020 job losses. How did this happen? While other countries have policies and programs that help women with their caregiving needs, the United States relies on mothers to bear those responsibilities with little to no support. Women are simply expected to be the safety net. During this pandemic, women have disproportionately taken on responsibilities of homeschooling and housework. They have been forced to choose between their careers or caregiving for their families. We need to make bold changes to the workplace so that it can be more inclusive to women. We need quality and affordable childcare. We need stronger workplace protections, workplace flexibility, and we need fair compensation for women and caregivers. The longer it takes to address these issues, the tougher it will be to repair the damage to the decades of progress women have made in the workplace. In the city of Los Angeles, this is what I'm fighting for. The slogan, "We're in this together," doesn't end with this pandemic. We need to work together in the recovery as well. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing all the great ideas that come out of this important event.
Thank you, Council President Martinez. We are so grateful that we've had your support over the years. Now I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Ann McElhaney Johnson, President of Mount St. Mary's University, who will share some key data insights from the report. Dr. McElhaney Johnson is the 12th president of Mount St. Mary's, as well as the chair of the board of directors for the Women's College Coalition, the leading advocate for women's educational institutions. She is recognized as a thought leader for gender equity issues and a champion for innovative teaching and learning. Please join me in a warm welcome for Dr. Ann McElhaney Johnson.
Thank you for that introduction, Emerald. I would also like to extend my thanks to all of our sponsors, alumni, students, faculty, staff, the Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet, and all our friends who have joined us. Before I share some of the data from this year's report, I wanted to take a moment for us to reflect on the power and the resilience that women and girls have displayed over this past year in the face of this double pandemic of the COVID virus and systemic racism. We have seen continued violence perpetrated against the Black community, and we are witnessing a dramatic increase in violent acts and hateful rhetoric against the AAPI community. This year has looked very different for each of us, and yet we come together. We come together to honor the strength and resilience of women. We at Mount St. Mary's honor all of you and your perseverance. At Mount St. Mary's, our motto is unstoppable. Our students, faculty, staff, and alums live up to that word, and so do you. Thank you for being with us today. For those of you who are familiar with our research, this year's report will look very different from previous years. We knew we had to produce a comprehensive, timely report that examined the pandemic and how it has disproportionately affected women and girls. I'm so proud of our faculty who pivoted from our traditional format to make this year's report possible. As Emerald mentioned, we started producing this report 10 years ago this month. We are honored that our report has become the most authoritative collection of current research on issues affecting California's women and girls. Its success led to the founding of the Center for the Advancement of Women at Mount St. Mary's. Our center has become one of the most dynamic regional hubs for gender equity research, advocacy, and leadership development. The report has also inspired partnerships that have been invaluable to our university. In 2015, we worked with Mayor Garcetti's administration and the Los Angeles Commission on the Status of Women to create the first ever gender analysis for the city of Los Angeles. We were also delighted to partner with the Los Angeles County Commission for Women to create the first Los Angeles County report on the status of women and girls. We are fortunate to have 3 of our LA County supervisors with us today for a conversation about leadership in challenging times. I know it will be an insightful conversation. The pandemic has underscored that gender, race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status continue to determine women and girls' health, wellness, safety, access to education, and economic security. As you will see from the data, and as many here know personally, women have vastly different experiences based on their distinct identities. And women of color have been hardest hit during this pandemic. So let's take a look at the data and see how we're doing. First, some demographics. Women make up 50% of the state's population. Approximately 19.9 million women and girls call California home. When we break this group down by race and ethnicity, 6% of California women and girls identify as African American, 16% identify as Asian American, 39% as Latina, 36% as white, and 3% identify as all other races. All other races pertains to those women outside of the major 4 categories as defined by the US Census, and those women who identify as either 2 or more races. The median age for California women is 38, and 28% of California's women and girls are born outside of the United States. As we look at education, 35% of California's women have a high school diploma or less. 30% of California women have attended some college or have an associate degree. And 35% of California women have a bachelor's degree or higher. We know that education is a pathway out of poverty. The more education a woman has, the more earnings she can expect over her lifetime. And speaking of earnings, the gender wage gap continues to be a stubborn and persistent inequity that we track annually. If women don't earn equal pay for equal work, it will have ripple effects throughout their lifetime. They won't be able to save as much, invest as much, or pass on as much wealth as their male counterparts. Currently, California women working full-time year-round earn 88 cents for every dollar all men earn. This is down 1 cent since we reported this statistic in 2019. Additionally, we know that when we disaggregate by race and ethnicity, the gap is far greater for women of color. If we compare women's earnings to white men only, who have the highest earnings, we see that white women make 79 cents, Asian American women make 76 cents, African American women make 61 cents, and Latinas make 44 cents. The wage gap exists across all sectors that the U.S. Census tracks. Regardless of the industry, men make more than their female counterparts, and white men continue to earn the most. Women of color who are being paid the least simply don't have the same opportunities when it comes to earnings over their lifetime. Now let's focus on some data specific to the pandemic. We know that the pandemic has revealed gross inequalities in our state. It has disproportionately affected women and communities of color, and it threatens to roll back the gender equity gains that we have made over the last 50 years. Since we only have a limited time today, I would like to share some of the data that is most concerning and needs our immediate attention. I know our speakers will discuss these points in greater detail, and I encourage you to read the full report and have deeper conversations about these issues with your family, your friends, and your colleagues. So here is some of what we've learned and what the pandemic has exposed. One of the most startling data points is that the Latinx community is suffering most from COVID-19. While they make up 39% of California's population, the Latinx population comprises 47% of all COVID-19 deaths. African Americans make up 6% of California's population and account for 7% of COVID-19 deaths. Asian Americans make up 15% of California's population and account for 12% of all COVID-19 deaths. White women and men make up 37% of California's population and account for 32% of COVID-19 deaths. Looking at education, once again, we see race determining opportunity and advancement, especially during the pandemic. Among Californians who had planned to pursue an advanced degree in the fall of 2020, over 1 in 3 canceled all plans for post-secondary study, while the remaining adults modified their plans. An incredibly worrisome data point is that half, about 45% of African American households with students canceled all post-secondary studies for fall 2020. This is something we must work aggressively to address. Education is critical to the future of our youth and our community. When we examine overall health care, we know that due to the pandemic, up to 47% of California women delayed needed medical care in 2020. And roughly 70% of California women have suffered mild to severe symptoms of anxiety during the pandemic, and more than half have reported experiencing mild to severe depression. Both of these statistics have a direct correlation to women's increased role at home as family caregiving responsibilities have mounted. So let's take a moment to discuss remote work and how women are faring. It is estimated that over half of the United States employed workforce is now working from home. During the pandemic, the percentage of employees working from home increased almost 8-fold. A July 2020 national survey revealed that 71% of men and 56% of women said they wanted more remote work opportunities in the future. And when responding to whether they are more productive working at home, 41% of women and 67% of men said that they are. However, data suggests that the decentralization of our workforce as a consequence of the pandemic may have had a relatively greater negative impact on the productivity and career advancement of women and people of color. For example, while over half of white workers, this is women and men, say that they've been more productive working from home during the pandemic, only about a third of African American workers say the same. But not all workers were able to transition from their office to their home for safety during the pandemic. Those deemed essential workers did not have this option. And many members of our community lost their jobs or were furloughed. 42% of California's women are employed in what we have come to understand in this pandemic as essential jobs, requiring them to report to their work sites. In regard to women leaving the workforce, you are probably aware that the U.S. Labor Department recently reported that almost 2.5 million women have left the workforce since the pandemic, compared to 1.8 million men. These women have opted out or have been forced out of the labor market largely due to the demands of childcare and distant learning, layoffs, and furloughs. Both of these numbers are staggering and have caused alarm at the national level to try to recoup jobs as well as representation of women in the workforce. Stepping out of the workforce temporarily has detrimental effects on women's earnings. We know that women are penalized for taking time away from work. For women who took just 1 year off from work, their annual earnings were 39% lower than women who did not. This circumstance could affect gender equity gains of the last decade with respect to job responsibility and wages. Let's look at another national data point that focuses on women-owned businesses. Currently, women own 27% of all small businesses across the nation. When we break those businesses out by race and ethnicity, we see that 63% of these businesses are owned by white women, 16% are owned by African American women, 10% by Latinas, and 5% by Asian American women. In California, women own an estimated 1.5 million businesses, and women of color own 59% of them. This statistic has remained constant over the last several years, and I think this is a real source of pride for the women of our state because we also have the highest number of women-owned businesses in the nation. As we consider the impact of the pandemic, at the end of December 2020, looking at all of California's small businesses, 47% of California's business owners said they had experienced decreased revenues. 51% had enough cash on hand to operate for 1 or more months. And only 25% of businesses surveyed anticipated being able to survive for more than 3 months without assistance. These are sobering statistics, and we will need to work collaboratively to ensure that all women and girls, especially our most at-risk populations, have opportunities to thrive post-pandemic. Today, we have leaders and experts here with us to explore these issues in more depth. How are women faring in the workforce and at home? How are women entrepreneurs surviving right here in Los Angeles? And how will women's leadership pave the way during these challenging times? I look forward to our speakers sharing their perspective on these challenging but crucial questions. We are so delighted to have you all with us today. Thank you.